Normally I hunt the Wisconsin rifle season pretty hard, but unfortunately we didn't have any tracking snow. There was still a couple days left of the season in Minnesota, and they had tracking snow over there. So I decided to head back over that way. Fortunately, I had some family in the area that I stayed with, and so I got up early in the morning and set out to go for the hunt. Getting to our section of woods to go look. Fortunately, there's this nice little coat of powder on the sides of the roads, and that's making it a lot easier to find a track. And that's what you call a big wolf track. Alright, so I found a track here, nothing special. It's a little bit old, probably won't take it, but it is the best one that I've seen so far. You can kind of see there a little bit of some dew claws, but not real heavy, so I'll keep it on the back burner as a last resort, but I don't think I'll go with this one. Wolf was doing something here. Looks like it was just kicking up something. I don't know if it took a dump there or what. Like my dog always scrapes after he poops. Alright, I think I just found a nice track. We got some dew claws pressed down wide. That's a good track. Yeah, baby. Dew claws on every single step. They're not crazy heavy, but they're definitely pushing down, and the track looks fairly fresh. You can see that the dew claws are split pretty far, like 4 fingers wide. Track's pretty wide. I'm happy with that one. Oh, I look forward to this all year long. A big slammer buck on that track right in front of me, and it's a fairly fresh track. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to keep going and see if I can't find him crossing the road again, or maybe just try to find a couple other different tracks. I've still got plenty of time before it gets light out, so I might try to line up a couple options here in case this one is a flop, but I know for sure that I'm going to be going after at least that big buck. Hunters are starting to come out like crazy now. Alright, so I decided to head back to this big track that I found. I was starting to see some hunters driving around, so I'm like, you know what, last thing I need is to find a slammer track and then come back to it and then somebody's sitting on it. So there's no plan B's at this point. I'm going after this deer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna chillax here for a little bit, maybe take a little nap and so here's a daylight view of it. He's heading out into this ash swamp. So far he's been cutting across the country, kind of like what I would expect a mature buck to do. He's not really going on deer trails very much. Just kind of going with a purpose, going in a direction. So all signs are pointing towards a big buck. Well, it's been social hour here for this deer. We found the hub of all deer activity, and sorting out his tracks been pretty difficult. I'm gonna try to figure it out here. You can see a lot of feeding sign right here. It's a mushroom that the deer ate right off the side of that tree. There's a pea spot. You can see that he kind of splattered all over the place. He's got some dribbles there, and his tracks exiting. Heading up this way. Well, I just smelled that pile of pee, and it reeks for big buck scent. Yeah, he just went and did a little bit of feeding. You can see he ate some of the bark off there. There's also a little bit of old man's beard that he might have been chewing on. That's probably what he was working on here. Alright, so this buck is just kind of feeding and moving all around in here. I'm just going to do a loop around the area and see if I can't pick up his track exiting it, because it's getting pretty tough to follow. Alright, so I did a loop here. I think I got back on the track. This one's pretty decent size, so looks about the same as what I've been walking on, so kind of moseying around still, doing a lot of feeding. Pooped right there. It was still hard, so that's been on the ground for a while. It's definitely got a rutting buck smell to it. It's still a little faint, but you can see that he melted through all the way to the ground, so he stayed in this bed a little while, and then walking tracks are exiting. He's got pretty good visibility in this spot right here, and he's got some thick cover, nasty junk behind him. First thing out of his bed, he went and took a poop. Hard yet, right? Just found another bed here. Still is kind of old and frozen, but the tarsal scent in it is pretty strong. We got decent set of tracks. I think that's gotta be him. One of the deer went through this in between these two trees. Well, he went and skirted around that. This deer's been on a mission. He's taking me on his rut cruising circuit, and we're just cutting country. He's not even on trails most of the time, just poof, he's going somewhere. And I can see that there's a marsh ahead of us, so I'm wondering if he's going to be crossing that here soon. So I've been on the track for 2.69 miles right now. This dude's on a mission. He's headed right towards that marsh. We're probably going to be skirting around it. I've been just flying. I can just follow him because there's hardly any deer tracks in this section. He has stayed on a beeline this entire time. Almost a straight line if I pull up my satellite imagery here. You know, one thing that's a little tricky with the snow conditions today is that it's really crumbly. All the tracks that I've seen that are kind of hard and really defined, like you can see the track, I was thinking that was probably made yesterday because it was a little warmer. And so they're walking around and they're putting prints down on the ground. So I think that this track is from last night. And I'm just, you know, those beds that I found earlier, those were his beds during the day yesterday. So I've got some ground to make up on him. I mean, I'm going to have to get on my horse here today and catch up to this deer. I need him to start bedding down though soon. Well, that track led me to an incredible major crossing. It's pinched off by some water on the one side, pinched off by swamp on the other. And it all crossed in that one spot. Every single track led to and from that. I couldn't cross there though because there was water and it was ice and I didn't want to bust through it. So I circled down around and I'm coming back towards that on the opposite side to try to catch up with those tracks, and I just cut what I think is a pretty nice track here. It looks decently fresh. Not like steaming hot fresh, but it's decent. Well, I just hiked like over 8 miles. As you can see, my truck is right in the background, right there. And all of a sudden I look down and I'm like, holy crud, there's a big buck track. You gotta be kidding me. I don't know if it was the one I was after and I just got off on the wrong one or something, but it's right here. What the heck? And it's like fresh. Like there's like marks on the road all the way across the road, and vehicles have been traveling on this. Looks like the tracking gig isn't over yet today. Been walking so hard today. I blew a hole right through the back of my sock. I'm really tired. I got this like weird back pain thing that's going on right now, and it's like making it hard to breathe. It's like, oh. But there's a steaming hot track coming out of that woods right there. And I have about 3 hours left of daylight. All right, here we go. So I've been going on this track for a little while now. He doesn't seem to want to slow down yet. Making it a little tricky to catch up to him, so I'm almost have to just fly. Just found this doe bed that he walked in. Take a look at that. The doe was bleeding in the bed. That's the third bed in a row that he has gone to check out and sniff. He's clearly interested in the does that are bedding in this cedar / pine. Well, it's more like balsam, but there's a little bit of cedar in here. There's this little like ridge that kind of goes through here. And these does are bedding back in here. He knows it. Just poking along here. And I found a shed antler. Right underneath one of these cedars. Not a giant, but kind of a cool, fairly heavy antlered deer. Look at that. That's a cool shed find. That might be the buck I'm after right now. Jeez, isn't that cool? I think that might be from last year. It's not even chewed up at all. In-season finds. Those are fun.